So, hi friends, in today's current affairs series of lectures, I will discuss some of the bills recently passed by the Parliament of India in the winter session of 2021. So, the first among them is Assisted Reproductive Technology Act. Now, it is an act because it has already passed and received the assent of President of India. So, assisted reproductive technology. So, Assisted Reproductive Technology Act 2021. So, this bill comes under Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, that particular ministry has introduced this bill, and the implementation is done by the Health and Family Welfare Ministry at the union level, and at the state level the respective health ministries will looking into the implementation process of this act. So, what is this assisted reproductive technology? What is this assisted reproductive technology? We call it as ART. So, ART Act or ART Bill. So, what is this ART technique? See, reproductive. So, reproduction is a natural process where a sperm cell enter into an oocyte or an egg cell, then it will fertilize, and from that fertilization process you will get a new life. That is what a reproduction. This happens across all animals. So, a male and a female cell is necessary for this reproduction. Now, what happened is, in the natural process, sometimes we may get some problem. The problem because of these two cells nature. The problem may be because of these two cells nature. That means either it is a problem with the sperm cell, or other the problem is with the oocyte or egg. So, because of the problems with these particular cells, it is become very difficult to fertilize naturally, and if you do not fertilize, you do not get any offspring. That means there is no reproduction. So, in order to solve this problem in the human being, lot of technologies has evolved over a period of time. It is first time in the year 1978, the first test tube baby was born in our country, and after that lot of scientific inventions happened in this assisted reproductive process. There are many technologies involved in this. Now, the problem is, when this technology has started evolving, there must be a proper regulation to use this technology. Otherwise, we can misuse this technology. Otherwise, we can exploit some of the people by using this technology, and you can use this technology for getting more and more profit. This technology is certainly helpful because everyone needs child, every parent wanted child, and when natural process has failed to give the child, then definitely will approach the technology. And just by considering this weakness, if someone starts exploiting, that is unethical. And in order to stop those type of unethical practices, the government of India has brought this act. Now, in the year 1978, when the first test tube baby was born, why government unable to regulate till these many years? Because it was the experimental level, it was started in 1978 and first successful baby born. But after 1978 it has not used widely, but we have started using post 1990, and especially after 2000 it has become we have started using this particular technology more. And there are lot of the techniques, lot of these IVF centers, lot of test tube baby centers were started across the country. Some are registered, some are not registered, some are doing ethical things and some are doing illegal practices and unethical things also. But this regulation, and before I comes to this regulation, first of all I will try to explain what is this technology and how the technology is going to help in the process of fertilization, Okay. Now, so you know the natural process in oocyte or egg is released from woman, and the sperm cell when it penetrates inside the egg, then it start fertilization process. Now in this, if the natural process failed, then there are some technological aspects. First one is IVF, in vitro fertilization. So in vitro fertilization means we will take the egg or the oocyte and the sperm cell separately, in a laboratory, that means in an outside condition, that means outside the womb. We will send this sperm cell into the egg cell, and the fertilization process has started here. This fertilized zygote or this fertilized cell will be placed inside the womb of a mother, then it starts generating or it starts developing a child inside the womb of a mother. Because this fertilization process has not happening inside the body, because of one or other reason, because of the late release or because of the sperm cell may not reach to that egg cell in an appropriate time, because every cell having its own lifetime, and sperm cell can live up to 72 hours and an egg cell only up to 24 hours. So there are some timing problems. So because of that, this fertilization process, if it not happen inside the human body, then we will make that process outside and we will inject into the human body, and in the human body the baby starts growing. This is IVF, and we will also call it as test tube baby. Test tube baby, not that the baby will alone grown in the tube, no. The initial process will be done in the laboratory or the test tube, and later we will place it inside the mother. Second one is intrauterine insemination. Intrauterine insemination means to the woman womb itself, we will send the sperm cell artificially, to the womb cell artificially, with some using pipes or with whatever the medical equipment. We will send this sperm cell into the woman body, and at the time of release of egg, this process will conducted, and then this sperm cell will go and will entering into the oocyte, then it start fertilization process, and from then onwards baby started growing. So this is IUI, intrauterine insemination. Third one is gestational surrogacy. See, this gestational surrogacy means parent, both women and men, Now there is a problem with this woman. There is a problem with this woman. Suppose there is a problem in the womb of a woman, or if there is a problem with the uterus, or if the problem is with the fallopian tubes, these are the main organs involved in the reproduction system, then what they will do is either this woman egg or the outsider egg or anybody's egg or oocyte that will be taken and that will be fertilized with the sperm cell, with the parental sperm, and this entire thing will be placed inside the womb of the other woman, not this woman, because sometimes miscarriage, lot of problems happen. So now we are taking the egg cell and the sperm cell of the parents, and if this egg cell is not proper, then we can take the egg cell of others also, but the point is it will not be, the baby not grown inside the womb of this mother, but it will be grown inside the womb of the another woman. This process we will call it as surrogacy. Next, fourth one is intracytoplasmic sperm injection. Intracytoplasmic sperm injection. So in this fourth technique, what we will do is, because of the weakness either in the sperm cell or because of the thick layer of this oocyte or the egg, it is very difficult for the sperm cell to penetrate inside the oocyte. Then what we will do is, we will take this egg cell and we will take this sperm cell. We will take this egg cell and we will take this sperm cell, but we will, it won't happen naturally, but we will use a micro pipette. We will use a tiny needle type micro pipette. So a micro pipette we will take, and by using this tiny needle like micro pipette, and by using this micro pipette, we will try to inject this sperm cell into the egg cell. That means forcibly, because if this layer is so thick or if this sperm cell is so weak, then it cannot enter inside. Now we wanted to make this process through this pipette forcibly. This is what we call it as the intracytoplasmic sperm injection technique, ICSI technique. And once it enter inside, then it is fertilized, then it will be placed in the inside the womb of a mother. So a tiny needle called micropipette is used to inject a single sperm into the center of the egg. That is this process, because sometimes the egg's outer layer may be thick or hard, or sperm may be unable to swim or unable to penetrate into this egg cell. So that is the reason why this technique came. Okay. So these are the four different techniques that we know with respect to this assisted reproductive technologies. Now the thing is, okay, this technology is there. Now with this technology, if you have an egg cell, if you have a sperm cell, then you can generate a baby. Now the point is, these techniques which you have learned, all the four techniques, can also be used and can also be misused. Suppose the parents, those who are unable to conceive the children, definitely it is helpful for them, because in the natural course of process, when you are unable to get the children, then this technology you can use it. But the problem is, you can misuse also. And why it has become very problematic? Because this is dealing with a life. This is dealing with a life. It's not something like an industrial process where you will bring some 2 to 3 different chemicals, and if you don't get the final product, you can throw it out. But you can't throw it out these eggs and sperm cells, because this is something related to the life, and you can't take so many eggs from the woman, or you can't take so many sperm cells from the men and you can use it for whatever purpose you want. You cannot. It leads lot of ethical issues. So that is the reason why you need some sort of regulation. You need some sort of regulation, and that regulation has started way back in the year 2005 itself. 2005 itself. At that point of time, the ICMR, Indian Council of Medical Research, has come up with some sort of guidelines, and even they proposed a bill in the year 2008 also. So their regulation started in the year 2005 and they have proposed a bill in the 2008 related to these type of technologies, and it is specifically related to some sort of surrogacy and other related aspects also, but this is an overall regulation of this technological aspect of this reproduction has started this. But now the Parliament of India has come up with a detailed bill called Assisted Reproductive Technology Bill. Now it has become the Act. Now under this Act, how we try to regulate this particular technological system and what are the problems with the present day practices, we will discuss now. See, now all these clinics, we call it as these clinics, ART clinics. All the ART clinics must be registered, and there must be a national registry for this. A national registry. So the establishment of a national registry and registration authority for all clinics and also the medical professionals involved in this activity. So it's not only clinics, but clinics and medical professionals serving in this field must be registered with a national authority, and we must maintain a national registry also. Because nowadays many ART clinics are working without proper registration, without proper authentication, and you don't know whether the doctor is qualified enough or whether that particular clinic is doing any unethical and illegal practices, we don't know. But once you are registered, then you comes under the purview of the government, then they can inspect at any point of time. So you have to maintain some standards. Next, and now this particular bill is bringing that whatever the regulation and supervision aspect of this technology, these two aspects they are bringing. Now apart from this national registry, there is an ART bank, that means Assisted Reproductive Technology Bank. So what is this bank? It's not like a normal bank where we can save our money, but these are the bank where you will save this oocyte or the egg cell and sperm. So there actually we will save that egg cell and sperm cell, ART banks. So now you can store that, and now you can use appropriately. Because sometimes in some cases the woman egg may not be supporting this fertilization process, then that particular parent has no option except to go for another oocyte of another woman when it is not supporting you. So that is the problem. Then you have to go with another oocyte. but you can't take oocyte from whoever you want, and you can't take how many oocytes you want. So there must be some particular process, and that process is established, and in that process there is a bank, and this bank used to store. Next, it is promoting the safe and ethical practices. Safe and ethical practices. Safe and ethical practices. I will come to that, what is the meaning of ethical practices. Now you can understand. Next, now whoever is donating these cells, who is donating these cells, that means donor of either egg cell or donor of a sperm cell, donor of an egg cell and donor of a sperm cell. There are some conditionalities are there, you can't take from whoever you want. See, if it is a female, then the donor age should be 23 to 35. 23 to 35 if it is female. If it is male, if the male semen if you want to take, then the age of a male is 21 to 55 male. So you can collect, you have to collect these sperm cell and egg cell from only in between these two ages people. And one more thing, a ART procedure can only be carried out with the written informed consent of both the party. So that means informed consent of the commissioning couple and as well as the donor. So you have donated your egg cell to somebody, now you have to take the consent of that. Okay, can I use it for some couple? Yes, you can use it, because the egg cell is belong to some other woman. Now the baby is going in the hands of the some other people, so you should not claim after that it is my egg cell, so that baby belongs to me. You can't do that. And at the same time, just by donating the eggs, you can't create the babies. It is just an altruistic process, because these people are unable to have their child. That is the reason why they are taking the help of, or they are taking the assistance of some other people. That doesn't mean that you will become a factory to generate the childs and generate the eggs and sperm cell. So that is not acceptable. So, but anyhow, this is the criteria for donating both egg cell and sperm cell. Next, the point is, okay, this is the donor and safe ethical practices, but who are the beneficiaries? Who can get the benefit under this ART process? Can anyone get the benefit of this ART process? No, there are some conditionalities imposed. So that conditions are Indian married couple. Indian married couple. Indian married couple are eligible to get the benefit of this program. Next, foreign married couple. But again, when it comes to the surrogacy, there are some specific regulations to surrogacy. That's a different, I will discuss now after completion of this. But surrogacy is different. But apart from surrogacy, that whatever the in vitro fertilization or intrauterine insemination or intracytoplasmic sperm injection, that can also be available to the foreign married couple and Indian married couple. And even Indian single woman, Indian single woman, foreign single woman, but not to single men and LGBTQ. So the single men and LGBTQ, they don't get any benefit under ART technique, but whereas Indian married couple, foreign married couple, Indian single woman, foreign single woman, they can utilize this technique. Already there is a registry, already there is a bank, and if you are able to get that written consent of both these people and as well as the donors, then you can go with the techniques safely. You can go with the technique safely. This is the conditionalities imposed. But we don't want to allow a single man to conceive a child under this particular technique, because our adoption rules of India says that a single man cannot adopt a girl child. A single man cannot adopt a girl child. Now, in this process, you don't know whether you will get the girl child or a boy. So, it is very difficult to say. So, that is the reason why, in order to remove that confusion, we have completely removed this single man category, and even LGBTQ also, because this LGBTQ also a problem, because in adoption rules, that is the reason why we do not want to allow this LGBTQ and single men to get the benefit of this technology to have a child, So, this is something about the beneficiaries. Now, the screening of donors, the screening of gamete of donors, collection and storage of semen and provision of oocyte donor can only be done by a registered bank. Apart from registered bank, no one should involve in this donating of or the supplying of these gametes of the donor. So, the point here is, now whatever earlier we have done at the individual level or whatever it has done in an unorganized level, now they have organized it completely. So, it has to be done only through the ART bank. But the trafficking and sale of embryos, that means if you don't done it through the ART bank, and if you do in an illegal manner, it can be called it as a trafficking or it can be called it as selling. So, this trafficking and selling of embryos, embryo in the sense that egg and sperm combination. So, this embryo is considered as a crime, and you will be liable for punishment. The punishment can be fined up to 10 lakh in the first instance. In the second instance, you can get an imprisonment up to 12 years. Criminalizing if you involve in this trafficking and selling of embryos. Next, the insurance cover to the donor. The insurance cover to the donor is very, very important. That means you can't take whenever you want. The point is, suppose take the case of women, you cannot collect any eggs you want from that woman, no. And the egg cannot be released every day, egg will be released only once in a month. And the taking away of the oocytes from the woman is a very difficult problem, because suppose in a normal course of process, every month you will get one oocyte, and that is a natural process. But once you give the right to the ART clinics that you can collect the oocytes from the woman, now they can inject it with some sort of hormones, and with that hormones they can generate more and more eggs. This practice is unethical and not at all allowed under this particular ART technology bill. This is not at all acceptable. Now, that too, whenever you are collecting these oocytes, maximum 7 oocytes you can collect it from a single woman. Why maximum 7? Because the egg whatever you have taken or the oocyte whatever you have taken, it may not be perfect and it may not be completely involved in this reproduction process. Fertilization may not happen sometimes because of one or other reason. That is the reason why maximum 7 oocytes can be collected from a woman. But one more condition is there, that a bank, that means an ART bank, cannot supply gametes of a single donor to more than one commissioning couple. That means whatever you have collected up to 7, you can't give it to the 7 individuals, but a bank cannot supply a gamete of a single donor to more than one commission couple. That means one donor cells will be used only for one couple. So you can't supply it to the all others, because here this supplier or the donor is not a factory to generate or to supply all these oocytes or the sperm cell to the different to the other people. That's not acceptable. So one is, yes, this hormonal injection through which you can collect more oocytes is prohibited, maximum 7, but in that also only one donor can donate it to the one couple. This is one more aspect. Next, there is a genetic test. That means now when these people are donating the oocyte or a sperm cell, now people are ready to accept it, and it is happening in an organized form or through a government notified form, but there might be some sort of genetical problems are there to the people who are generating this oocyte and as well as the sperm cell. That is the reason why, suppose if tomorrow they will get any problem, then it has become a burden for them. So then it has become a burden for them. So that is the reason why, what we are saying is a pre-genetic test is compulsory, and this genetic test is not for the determination of the sex of a baby. This is not a sex selection. This is only checking or the testing the genetic sequence, whether they have any problem in their body. Suppose if these genetic sequence, if a baby form, are they going to have any serious problems or any serious implication, that genetic test will be done, but not this. This is not acceptable, and even under the present laws also, this sex determination is not at all acceptable, and you are not supposed to do that, and this test is only for the different purpose, not for this purpose. But that genetic disease need to be done prior to the embryo implantation, and if you do this sex selection, then the registration of those centers will get cancelled. Next, there are some offences under this particular act. So what are those offences? That I'll mention some of the offences. One offence is abandoning or exploiting the children born through ART. Abandoning or exploitation born through this ART. So once the baby born, you cannot throw it out the baby. You have to use it. You have to take it away. You can't simply throw it out. And if you do that, then it is a crime. Next, selling, purchasing, trading or importing of a human embryo or gametes. So either it is the gametes or either it is the embryo. If you sell, if you trade, if you purchase, if you import, then it is a crime. It has to be done only through ART bank. Next, using intermediates to obtain the donors. That means in a normal term, if I want to use brokers, you should not use this intermediate persons or brokers to get the donors. If you want, just go to the ART center, and ART process you have to follow, and from the ART bank you need to take, and the written consent of both donor is compulsory, then only you can take. But through the intermediaries, if you try to take the donors, then it is illegal. Next, exploiting commissioning couple, women or the gamete donor in any form. So, you should not you should not exploit the couple, the commissioning couple or the donor, whether it is a donor of sperm cell or donor of the oocyte or the woman who is donating the oocyte. These three people cannot be exploited at all. If you exploit it, then it is punishable. Next, one more important crime is transferring the human embryo into male or an animal. So, whatever the embryo that we have prepared out of this embryo should not be placed inside the men and inside the animal. It must be placed only inside the woman only. You cannot do experiment with a live form, because this is a life. You can't experiment with men and you can't experiment with the animal, because this is something unethical. So, that is the reason why this is also considered as a crime. And for these crimes, initially you will get a penalty of 10 lakh. For repeated offences, you need to pay some 10 to 20 lakh of penalty and 8 to 12 years of imprisonment. And one more thing, main thing is this ART clinics cannot advertise or offering a sex selective ART. So, this sex selective ART is completely prohibited in our country. If you advertise it or if you offer, then you will be liable to pay the penalty, and also you will be liable for imprisonment. Okay. So, this is something about this ART regulations, but one important aspect of this entire ART is the regulating boards. So, what are these regulating boards? A regulating board, a national board and state level boards are constituted, and national level board and state level board were not constituted under this particular act. These boards were constituted under the Surrogacy Regulation Act, and that board will take care about the implementation of both process of surrogacy and as well as the ART. Both the process of surrogacy and as well as the ART. So, these boards are not created under this act, they are created under the different act. Now, I will just mention some of the functions of this board. So, this national level and state level board, first one is advise the central government and state government on ART related processes. So, advise. So, both the boards will advise the respective government on various policy processes related to this ART. Next, reviewing the implementation. Yes. So, how they are implementing the act? Are they implementing according to the spirit? These boards will review, and if something goes wrong, these boards will take an appropriate action. Next, formulating code of conduct and standards. So, code of conduct and standards. So, how you need to behave yourself while doing this process, that is code of conduct, and also the standards. The standards must be maintained, the standards. Okay. Next, overseeing various bodies to be constituted under bill. If any other bodies are constituted under this bill, and the functioning of those bodies are also be looked after by this national board and as well as the state board. So, this board is a supreme, this board will take cognizance of every activity that is happening under this particular legislation, but this act is not constituted under this act is constituted under a Surrogacy Regulation Act. But one more point is, after the baby born, now the donor don't have any rights over that particular child. So, donor no right. Though the parental cells belongings to the donor, but the donor don't have any right on the child and the child. Only the commissioning couple will have that rights. Only the commissioning couple have the rights. Commissioning couple. Only commissioning couple will have the complete rights over that. So this is something about this ART related bill. But whenever you are going, you please read ART Act along with the Surrogacy Act. You just go through ARC Act along with the Surrogacy Act. So this is ART.
Amrita IAS Academy.